struggled a little bit with initially because I actually found the accents very, very broad, and it's one of those things. It's Scottish, and you're sort of thinking, okay, you've got. I mean, I love Scotland. I think it's a great place, but it's like the confusion that some people have when they're listening to Australians speaking. It took me a while to get with the flow of this, but once I did, I really enjoyed it. We're talking about Nobody Has to Know, which is rated M and runs for 99 minutes. Slow-moving, sensitive piece of work concerning a middle-aged farm worker on the Scottish Isle of Lewis. He loses his memory after a stroke. Once he's released from hospital, this man, Phil Holborn, played by Bully Lanners, is, for the most part, driven around by Millie McPherson, Michelle Fairley. She's a real estate agent, the daughter of a taciturn farm owner called Angus, Julian Glover, where her brother Peter, Cal McIninch, and Peter's son Brian, Andrews, still work alongside Phil. So you've got the father and you've got the son and the son's son working together alongside the guy who's had the stroke. Now, although this gentleman who's had the stroke is still robust, very much so, the only appreciable change in Phil is that he's no longer the chatterbox that he was before he suffered the stroke. He's now much more reflective. And that suits Millie, his driver, just fine. And she herself is reserved, which seemingly is a family trait. It's clear there's a spark between the hard-working man Phil and Millie. And Millie tells Phil they were lovers, but that was and is a secret. At the time, no explanation is given as to why. This is a God-fearing community where decorum is expected. Against her better judgment, Millie and Phil become intimate again. But there's more here than at first meets the eye, the detail of which unfolds as the movie progresses. Among the revelations is Phil's backstory. The longer it went, the more I appreciated Nobody Has to Know, which was written by Bully Lanners, that's the star, that's the guy who had the stroke, written by him with Stefan Melandrin, and directed also by Bully Lanners and Tim Malance. So I reckon there's a deftness of touch here, a deliberate restraint whereby much is left deliberately unsaid. Peter, you've seen this one, haven't you?
Yes, I have, and it's very much an enjoyable film because of the characterizations and the Belgian filmmaker Bully Lanners, who's directed it. And what is so interesting about this film, it's about two lonely people who find some sort of connection in a difficult Scottish environment. And I found this just such a gently observed, beautifully observed film, and I really enjoyed the characters and the way it developed. For me, it was a really good film.
The other boys, have either of you seen it or not yet?
I have, yep. Yeah.
You have? Oh, great, Dave. Yeah, look, I really applaud the performances. I thought Lanners, Fairley and Still, that's the grandson, if you like, of the farm owner. I mean, all of them realised their characters very, very well. They're measured but memorable. What do you reckon?
Oh, it's an absolutely beautiful film, and I love the performances of the two leads. They're absolutely fantastic. But also, I love the way that a lot of filmmakers, especially when they're filming in Wales or Scotland or Ireland, are able to incorporate the environment around that they're filming into the actual story as well. This is a very kind of dark and bleak story at times, and it's brilliantly captured by the filmmakers as well, that they've shot in this kind of dark, bleak area of Scotland that has true moments of beauty. And I thought that was one of the things that really came across in this film, was when there was a scene where it was a beautiful moment between two characters, they found a beautiful location to film it in, whereas a lot of the other stuff that was dark and depressing was filmed in a dark and depressing location. I really, really admire that, and I think, Bully Lanners has done an absolutely fantastic job with this film, and I hope this film does get a wide audience, because it is absolutely beautiful.
I don't think it will, because it's a sort of an independent movie. I think it's going to be one for film purists or people who value fine, considered independent cinema. The cinematographer is Frank van der Eden. I reckon he was terrific as well. He really showcased the rugged splendour of the island, and Nobody Has to Know really combines charm with gruffness, and it's really impactful as a result. What about the soundtrack, Peter? I thought that was unforgettable, really evocative. Pascal Humbert and Sebastian Willems are responsible for that. I was really cognizant of the music.
Absolutely, the music and the sound and the silences as well are just so well developed in the film. So absolutely, it's a really nicely packaged film, which could be seen in any sort of European sort of film festival, because it's very much a film festival type film, I think.
I agree. What I said at the outset, when you were listening at the start, did you struggle with the accent, or was that just me?
Scottish accents can be very difficult to understand at times, but after a few minutes, you start to get used to it. Yeah.
There was one bit later on. Only I remember. I think it may have been in a pub or whatever. I still didn't understand that, and I actually saw it. I was fortunate to see it as a screener. I would have liked to have seen it on the big screen, but I'd missed the initial media screening, and it was. I went back over it 3 times, and I still didn't understand it, Dave. So there you go. How are you with accents?
I was fine with it. Trainspotting's my favourite film of all time. So, and I've grown up around Scottish people, so yeah, it wasn't a problem for me.
Very good. Hey, listen, I've got to tell you a funny story. Firstly, let's give this a score, then I'll tell you a funny story that happened to me during the week. So what are we going to give it, Peter?
I really enjoyed the film. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 for Nobody Has to Know from Peter Krausz. Dave Griffiths.
Yeah, an 8 out of 10 for me as well. And also just backing up with what Peter said, I thought one of the really important parts of this film is that the director knew that sometimes a look and silence says more than a line of dialogue.
100%. I actually noted that as well. The silences are indeed golden, to use a cliche, and I mean the largely understated performances are really in keeping with the movie's tone. So I'm also giving it an 8 out of 10. It looks like this may well be the movie of the week. So, folks,